Good afternoon, everyone. I'm back. I'm Linda, and welcome to the frosting part of the Buttermilk Blueberry Muffins. So I hope that this one is not as blurry as the first part was, and I'll give it just a second here before I start. I don't know what makes the internet do like it does sometimes. You know, we pay to have all this stuff here, and then sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But for those of you who were on live on the first part, if you'll go back in, they said that it's not as blurry if you go back in and rewatch it. So welcome to Peaky Mouse Cakes, Cookies, and Candy. We're also Peaky Mouse Sisters in the kitchen. Mary and Carla had to leave, so I waited until these cooled off, and now I'm going to frost them. And I've got my buttercream that I showed y'all earlier, and I also have my whipped chocolate ganache, and I'm going to use both. Maybe not on both on a muffin, but I may. It just depends on what I do. So I just frosted one here to start with, but I've got my pink gel. You can get different brands of this. This is Sunny Side Up from Hobby Lobby. It's their brand, but you can get AmeriColor. If you're coloring frosting, I would certainly recommend that you use the gel. You know, back in the day when we were growing up, they had the thin, just a watery color, and that doesn't work well on this. So you need the gel. These are a couple of dollars for these small balls. They last a long time. But if you're into serious baking and cake decorating, you can buy the, I believe it's a 4 ounce, and then you can buy a 12 ounce or maybe even bigger if you order from Amazon. So, but if you just want to pick something up at a local craft store like Michael's or Hobby Lobby or whatever your craft store is in town close to you, then try to get the gel if you can. And when you're coloring this, even though it's gel, it will change the consistency just a pinch. So do a drop at a time. This is soft pink. It's one of my favorite colors. And I'm just going to do one drop. You can always add more, but if you get too much, the only way to really correct it is to keep adding frosting. So one thing that I didn't mention earlier this morning, butter is normally a kind of a pale yellow. The longer you beat your butter with the electric mixer, the longer you beat your buttercream, the lighter it's going to be. So this is not totally white, but it's a lot lighter than it was when I started. So this is just one drop of the pink, and I'll show you the color that you get with it. If you want bright Crayola colors, you're going to have to add more color to it. If you want just pale colors, you know, a drop or two is going to be all you'll need. And if you're doing a professional cake, and I guess I probably don't even have to tell people that do this all the time, you already know this, but for those of you who might be novice bakers, that you want to bake something, but you don't necessarily make a lot of cakes and decorate them, if you're going to do something with a dark color, like if you have a theme that you want black buttercream, or that you want maroon, or maybe you're doing school colors and you want maroon or red, if you are not accustomed to working with buttercream and with the gel colors, if you can get it in your area or if you can order it, I would suggest just to buy it already colored, because you're going to get a deeper color. They've improved a lot on these gel colors, and blacks and reds don't necessarily have that bitter taste to them, but some brands might. So if you want a deep, rich color, and you can just buy it already done. And if you're used to baking and you know what you're doing and you know how to put some flavoring in it and extract and keep the consistency right, then by all means do it yourself. These are the little small bags here. This is Sugar Bale, Sweet Sugar Bale, and these are my favorite little piping bags, and you can't always find these, but if you'll notice, it's got the little mark where you cut the tip off. That's exactly where it needs to be cut off for a small coupler. If you don't have the bags that have this on it, you can just kind of measure. Don't cut too much off, even if you have to trim it, because if you cut too much off, your coupler and your icing tip is going to come out of the bag when you squeeze it. So this is really good, especially for beginners. I've bought a lot of these at Tuesday morning over the years. Of course, I'm not going to be able to do that anymore because Tuesday morning is, you know, they are either going out or already gone out of business, depending on where your location is. So I've got my coupler in here, and I usually always use a coupler because it keeps you from squeezing the tip out. So this screws on here, and then you can change tips without changing the bag. So just make sure that's on there, and then screw it on there, and that way you won't lose your tip. Unless you cut the bag off too short. If you cut the bag off too short, this tip is going to come off. So just be careful when you're doing that. And this is a real pretty pink color. It's kind of like a soft pink, almost like a baby pink. And that's what I'm going to use. Now, most of the time you would turn this bag over, turn the flap over. But I've already had icing in this, so I'm not going to do that because I don't want to get it all over my hands. So I'm just going to put this in here. You can set these in a cup. That helps to get them turned over to where you got it. But I've done this so much, so most of the time I don't even do that. I just put it in there. So get you a paper towel or something that you don't mind getting icing on, and catch the bottom of it and just squeeze it down. Now you may have a little air pocket in it, so you may want to kind of squeeze it, kind of like you're burping a baby. Squeeze it a little bit to get that, make sure there's a, it's not going to splatter when you see it. It just did that when you're doing your decorating. And there's so many things. I mean, when you're decorating anything, a cake, a cookie, or muffins or cupcakes, there's no right or wrong way to do this. I love to let the kids do this because it's so much fun. You know, just set them up a little station. And y'all know I don't have kids, but I'm talking about the grandkids. It's just fun to let them be creative and do what they want to. So now you can put a layer of frosting on here to kind of hide the muffin. And I will do this, just put a little bit on here. That just kind of gives you like a little base foundation to work with it. And I normally make really large batches of buttercream, but I didn't today because I didn't want a lot left over. So I don't care how much I put on here. And that just kind of keeps you from, keeps it from having the muffin there. Now, I already had white in this bag, so the first little bit of icing that, or frosting that comes out is going to be white. And if you want to do that, and just squeeze it back in your bowl, so it's kind of looks like a variegated color. You can kind of tell that right there because it's got pink and white in it, and it's kind of pretty. If you want to do multiple colors in your bag, you can do it like that. So I'm just going to do just little stars around here. Now again, these are muffins, and as a rule, you don't put frosting, or I don't, on muffins, but I wanted to on these to just dress them up a little bit. And you can do multiple colors, you can do multiple tips. I only got a couple of tips out in here. You know, it doesn't need a whole lot of frosting on it. You can do sprinkles on it. You can do glitter. They call it luster dust or glitter. I've got tons of that in there, but I'm not necessarily doing that either. So another way you can do with this tip here as you can do like a squiggle. And I hope this is not elementary and boring to y'all, because I know that most people that bake already know how to do this, but you can just do this any way you want to. And that's why it's so fun to let the kids do this, is because they can create what they want to create. Just some different ways to put this on here. Now I've got this big bag here, and I'll do the rest of these, but I just want to kind of give y'all an idea of something different. I am going to use a coupler. I'm going to stick this in here, and this is not marked. So if you'll notice, you can squeeze this down to right there, and if you cut the tip off, it's going, and I'll cut it off right there at the end, but I'll show you that there's extra on there. So you're still going to need, slide the coupler down just a pinch and flatten your bag out like that. And then I'm just going to cut just a little bit off, because you can always go back and cut more. So you've got your bag flush with the coupler, and that's where you want it. You don't want the bag down here, because again, the icing tip will not stay on there. So I'm going to use the 1M. I use this a lot. This is a real versatile tip, and I'm just going to stick that on there and do the coupler, tighten it. And there's several different things you can do with this one. I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to put some of our whipped chocolate ganache in here. I'm just kind of giving it a stir. And this has been setting out at room temperature. And you can see how I folded the bag over. Some people put this in a cup, and some people don't. And of course, if you work in a bakery, you're going to have something that automatically fills these bags. You're not filling them by hand. But, you know, I don't have that kind of stuff here. So, it actually has a fold line on it where you fold it. And I'm just going to stick this down in here. Looks like we had another glitch. And see, I can put a lot more icing. You can actually fill to that line there. And this is sweet. This is another brand bag, and this is Sweet Tooth Fairy. And I think you can get these at Michael's. I think that's where that came from. Get another paper towel here. Now, if you wanted to paint the inside of your bag a different color, I'm not doing that today because I'm going to top this with blueberry, and it's going to have color on it. But if you wanted to take like a pastry brush and just mix up some color with some frosting and paint the inside of it, and then put your white in it, then you're going to have a multicolored frosting on your cupcake or cake or whatever it is you're frosting. Okay, so I'm just going to do this in a swirl motion. I'm going to start on the outside. And I'll go ahead and do more than one. I don't want these too high because, well, I guess it doesn't matter because I'm going to have to put them in a pie box anyway because I'm taking these over to town in a few minutes. Now, some of the cupcake holders, they're not that high, so you have to be careful so you don't mash it. All right, so let me move this over here. Now I've got my blueberry that I had earlier that I showed y'all. This is my blueberry. And to go over this again, this was about 3/4 cup of fresh blueberries. I put about a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of water, about 2 tablespoons of sugar, and I just kind of brought that in just a tiny bit of salt, and I kind of brought it to a boil and then turned it down low and let it kind of reduce. And once it reduced, I added about half teaspoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice. So I've got these little small spoons here that I'm going to use. And I'm going to, let me get this, see if I can get this situated where y'all can see it. I don't want too much, so I'm just going to do this just a little bit. I want it to just kind of run down the sides. And top it with, you know, just a spoonful or so of blueberries. Whoops, that one fell off. That one's going to fall off too. I want them to stay up there. So that did kind of run down the side, just a pinch. Now, I didn't use anything to thicken this blueberry sauce with, so it is a little bit thin. But I wanted it to be like this because I wanted it to kind of run down the sides. If you wanted yours thicker, they're falling off. If you wanted it thicker, you could absolutely keep cooking it a little bit longer to thicken it up, or you could always add a little bit of gel. Or I don't like adding cornstarch to something that's got a color on it because it's going to reduce that color. It's going to make it lighter. So I like to have mine to where it's the real color. So let me put just a little bit more on here. Or do one more, not a little bit more, but I'm just losing blueberries right and left. I'll probably stay on there once I get them in the refrigerator and get them cold. Okay. Do some that I'll just drizzle some of the juice on one. And you can use, there's actually, they're not tweezers, but it's something like tweezers that's for cooking that you can use to just do a little tiny drip on them if you don't want to put a whole lot on there. And it makes a pretty little display. So I'll finish frosting the rest of these, but I just kind of wanted to give y'all a little bit of idea how you could do them. And I think I'll put a little pink on this one here. Reminds me of candy stripers back in the day when young girls would work at the hospital in Nacogdoches, and they would be volunteers, and they called them candy stripers. They wore pink and white uniforms, and they were really, really cute. Okay, so I hope that y'all enjoyed the end of this, and I'm gonna get the rest of them done, and then box them up and take them over to town. So Mary stayed a little bit, but she had to go because she had to go meet Linda, and Carla stayed a few minutes. I told y'all that earlier, and we were talking about some things and doing some going through clothes, and I was showing them what I was taking on my trip. So we're going to do a little video next week. Normally again. So next week we're going to do things a little different because I'm leaving Wednesday to go to Ireland. So Monday, Mary and Carla's coming over here. We're going to cook together. And then Tuesday, Carla will be with Mary at Mary's house cooking. And then Wednesday, of course, Mary will be cooking because I'll be on the plane. So, oh, Lynn, you were a candy striper. How cool. I don't even know if they still have them or not. But it was something that was very popular back in the day. So thank y'all all very much for jumping on here again. I hope that y'all will share this video. We're really hoping to reach a 500,000 mark soon, and we are getting very close. And also I wanted to mention again, we did mention it this morning, but the Pampered Chef digital mixer, it's $399. We have an anniversary coming up in around the end of July when I get back from Ireland, and we're going to be giving away one of those mixers. So share our videos and make sure you tell everyone about us. And we're very excited to be doing that. And I'm also giving away one on my Pampered Chef page, but that's different from here. But thank you again. Hope y'all stay cool. It is very hot outside. I went out there just briefly with Carla when she was leaving, and it is extremely hot. So stay cool, stay hydrated, and stay safe from the storms. Always show kindness to someone. It doesn't cost you anything to be kind. You know, and it makes so much difference in this world if all of us would practice being kind to each other. And not only to each other, not only to people that we love. It's easy to love someone that loves us. Sometimes we need to be kind. Not sometimes, all the time. We need to be kind to people that we don't know, or that might occasionally rub us the wrong way or get on our nerves. We need to be kind to them too. They're also God's children. And so please remember that. Always count your blessings. And Lord willing, Mary and Carl and I will be here Monday, cooking. Monday. They'll be together Wednesday. Here at my house, and we will see y'all then. I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of the week and a blessed weekend. Bye-bye. Love y'all.